Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Cindy from PhoneDog.com. This is the Sony Ericsson Xperia X10 Mini Pro. Longest name ever for probably the smallest phone I've ever seen. And to be honest, whenever I first got the phone, I was like, it's a small phone, it's cute, probably good for texting and, different things like that. Not really like a high-end smartphone, but every day that I tested it, I've been testing it for about a week now, and every day I was more impressed by how capable this phone is and how well it performs. It can do so much, and it does all of it very well. Now, it is small, so there are some drawbacks I'm going to get into, but really overall I'm so impressed. It has a great QWERTY keyboard. Granted, it's small, and so I have small hands, so it works great for me, and that's going to depend just on each individual person, but still, it's very well designed. This touchscreen is great. It has a 5-megapixel camera with a flash that took amazing pictures. I was completely blown away. And it actually is very capable for social networking, even gaming. You could use, even though it's such a small screen, I was able to use it for all of those things. Now, is it for power users? I've been asked that a lot. Maybe not for power users, maybe teenage power users, maybe that kind of, group, I guess you could say, that uses it for texting or social networking, email, different things like that. Maybe for the other kind of power users that uses it for a alarm, calendar, conference calling. It may not be for that group, but it definitely is a very capable device, and I wouldn't pass it up just because of its small size. I almost made that mistake, but it actually is pretty amazing. And so I'm going to do a full review for you guys and just show you there, like I said, there are some downsides because it is so small, but I'll get into that. But really, it is a pretty amazing device. It's the Sony Ericsson Xperia X10 Mini Pro. I'm Cindy from PhoneDog.com. Let's go check it out. Okay, so first of all, physically, the phone is obviously really small. The screen itself is only 2.55 inches, so pretty small. And you can see it is a full touch screen, so you do have different home screens, but you also have a physical keyboard. The phone runs Android, but it's Android 1.6, so it would be nice if they would go ahead and upgrade it, but it's okay. I think because it is so small, you don't really notice a lot of the things that you're missing without having, or by not having Android 2.1, because as you'll notice, it is kind of a different UI. You have the 4 different shortcut buttons on the home screen, which show all the way through the different home screens, so it's not just on one particular screen. Down here you have 3 hardware buttons, which I think is nice. I've noticed that because the phone is so small, sometimes I may accidentally run my thumb down here, and if these were touch sensitive, I think that would get pretty annoying. So it is nice having the 3 hardware buttons, and they're just standard Android buttons. And then on top, 3.5mm jack, very cool, micro USB port as well. The camera, 5 megapixels with a flash. I'll show you some pictures later on, but I'm just going to say right now, it is amazing. Underneath here you have the battery, which is a 930 milliamp hour battery. I got about a day and a half on standby, and then with heavy use, it was about a day. So it's generally what you would expect with a smartphone. Granted, it is a smaller battery, but it's a smaller phone, and so I think it does just fine. And that's the camera. Speaker grill is right there. So going on to the basic UI here, you have 4 different shortcuts here, and you can set them up for anything. And so here I have Twitter, that's to make a call, my Gmail inbox, and then the web browser, but you can put any 4 shortcuts that you want to. One thing I will warn you about is that this is to make a call, and if you take that off, I accidentally took it off whenever I first got the phone because I was like, I want to put something else there. And then later on I was trying to figure out how to make a call, and I couldn't figure it out. And so it's because you need that shortcut. I think it may be in the menu as well, but I couldn't find it. And so, but anyway, that's one thing I will say, that you may have to keep that one right there just to make calls. Now, you'll notice the screen is really small, like I said, 2.5 inches. It is a capacitive touchscreen, and it works really well. There was a question on Twitter, someone wanted to know how well the touchscreen worked, if it was as good as phones like the Nexus 1, and it is. One thing, because the screen is so small, you'll notice you can have widgets, but you can only have one widget per screen. And so here I have a weather widget, a radio widget, and then the power control widget. That's fine. I wish that you could have more. That's one thing that kind of holds the phone back, and also again why I would say it's not really for power users, because if a power user has multiple apps and widgets, you're going to end up having just a ton of home screens. And so I think, for teenage power users, they're going to use, email, Twitter, maybe Facebook. So I think it would be fine for them. Again, see here, this battery widget, really tiny, but I can only have one per home screen. So it just takes up just a tiny little amount of space, but because I can only have one, that's kind of the downside. So, but that's really the only thing that bothers me about it. But the screen overall does work really well. We'll go to the web browser here. I'm working off of Wi-Fi. It is a quad-band GSM phone capable of global roaming, and so you can use it with AT&T or T-Mobile if you want to. There was a question on Twitter. Someone wanted to know if you could, if it was available on a U.S. carrier, and as of right now it's not, and I haven't heard any announcements about when it will be. And so right now I'm working off of Wi-Fi, so we'll go to a website here. You can see the keyboard. It's nice, I'm surprised that it does have a full space bar row. You have these huge phones, and still the space bar is in between the B and the N, or the B and the V. And so even with this tiny little keyboard, it's still a full keyboard. You have your function key, and so you can get to different secondary keys here. The space bar is pretty big. The keys are definitely a chiclet style, and so you're going to have to use just a little bit more pressure. They're not quite as grippy as I would like. Probably if this were on another device, a bigger device, I would probably have a few more qualms about it, but because it is so small, I'm just surprised that it works as well as it does. I mean, I'm not going to be picky at all with this, and it does work pretty well. So let me load up PhoneDog here. You can see it will load the full desktop version of a page. It will also go to the HTML version, to the mobile version, but for PhoneDog it will load the full page. And again, I'm on Wi-Fi, so speeds are going to be, we're not going to do a speed test right now just because it is a European phone. And so you'll see that when we load the page, it is smaller, the fonts are smaller, but I don't know, to me, I'm still blown away that it loads as well as it does, and that it is still readable. I mean, yeah, it may be small, but you can zoom in. You could do web browsing on this phone. So, that's one of the things that you would think that with this tiny little screen it would be impossible, but it actually performs pretty well. So that's the web browser. You can zoom in and out if you want to. Again, let me go to talking about this screen. I thought that maybe because the screen's so small, I was like, well, web browsing would probably be like a pain, pretty much impossible. But it turns out it works really well, and I could use this just for basic web browsing if I really needed to. And then I was thinking, okay, well, maybe web browsing, but no way you can play a game on this phone. I mean, it's so small. So I just downloaded this one free game, and it is a game that requires the touch screen. And I was like, it's probably not going to be that great, but you'll notice it actually is playable. I mean, you could use the phone to play this game, and so you have to get the airplanes onto the runway. But the point is to show that it's actually usable, even though the screen is so small. And so don't let the small screen size fool you. It really is a capable device. So let me show you guys some pictures that I took. I talked about how the camera is just amazing. You can see here again, part of the UI is that the menu kind of slides up from the bottom. You can also use this button. Even though it's mostly the home button, when you're in the home screen, you can use it to get to the menu. So, and then you have the dots to show you different menus that you have. And as far as I know, if you get more apps, it just keeps expanding. It just keeps adding more pages. So let's go to the gallery. Let me see if I can find it. I might have passed it already. Album, there we go. And I took some pictures outside on a sunny day, also took some inside, you'll see. And I was thinking, whenever I took them, I was like, yeah, let me just test this out really quick just to see, you know, if it takes the picture or whatever. I did not expect the results that I got. So that's kind of from far away. This is a close-up shot of some flowers. You can see there are different effects. You can use a macro setting if you're getting a close-up portrait shot. The camera also has an autofocus. So this is one picture that I took, and I don't know if you can tell on camera. I can tell by looking at it that the focus on this is amazing. It shows this so clearly, and it took such a wonderful picture. This is an even closer shot. This is what I have on my home screen. And so you can see it takes amazing pictures. I really don't know if you can tell. Probably the camera doesn't do it justice, but it takes amazing pictures. Also records video, even though it's only VGA quality, and so it's only 30 frames per second. But it does record video, but I was definitely amazed by the camera and how well it was. You can see you also have timescape, so you can use that for integration of different text messages or Twitter messages that you'll get. I personally don't like it just because, you know, for me to keep up with my timeline, I don't think it does a good enough job. But you can see it is there, and so it's a pretty nice feature. We'll go back to the menu and see you have email, so you can get Gmail. YouTube, YouTube videos also played very well. Let me show a quick video for you guys. Okay, so we'll load this video, The Weekly Bone with John Quatch, and turn up the volume.
Hey there, YouTube and Phone Dog people. It's John here from Phone Dog, and welcome to Weekly Bone, a little show here in Phone Dog.
So again, you know, you may not be able to tell with the camera, but it really is really good quality, and you can see it loaded pretty fast. Of course, I'm on Wi-Fi, but it does have a 600 megahertz Qualcomm processor, so it's a pretty good little processor, and video playback again is amazing. And so let's go back to the menu. It's just every time I used a feature on this device, I was just amazed with how well it performed. The marketplace, there was another question, going back to questions on Twitter. Someone asked if having the small size restricts some of the apps that you can download. And I did notice that some of the apps that I've downloaded previously when using other phones, some of them weren't available in the market. And so I don't know if that's something that, you know, Sony Ericsson programmed for this device because it is so small. They made some of the apps not available because they knew it wouldn't work too well with the smaller screen. I'm not sure, but I did notice that some of them were missing, and so that may be a possibility. You can see you have Google Talk, Gmail. Really, you know, what it all comes down to is that the device may perform well, but is it for everyone? You know, will it perform well enough for everyone for what they need to do because it is so small? And like I said before, I think yes, if you're going to be using basic web browsing, social networking, email, making calls, playing games, different multimedia aspects like that, or different multimedia features, for that I think it's great, and I think it could be used for a power user that uses a lot of multimedia. But for you know, a business person or someone that typically uses something like the Galaxy S here, you know, it's definitely, you know, you should probably definitely stick with a device that's you know, a little bit bigger. We've done plenty of size comparisons, but you can see here the difference in size. This is the Galaxy S, the European version, and so you can see it's just way smaller. And even the HTC Aria, which is a pretty small device in itself, still quite a bit smaller. So you know, I think that it could definitely be a very useful device, but probably not for older or business-oriented people. Probably for younger ones, it would be perfect. But again, you know, I can't say enough how well I think it performs, and it's definitely, I accidentally turned on the Aria. But definitely, you know, not to be underestimated, because it definitely packs a powerful punch. So there it is, guys. It's the Sony Ericsson Xperia X10 Mini Pro. Right now, not yet available on any U.S. carriers, but if you decide to buy it for full price, you know, you can use it with an AT&T or a T-Mobile SIM card, and it will work. I believe right now I'm using it with a T-Mobile SIM card. And so, thanks guys for watching. Hopefully I answered any questions that you may have had. If you have any other questions, you can follow me on Twitter, or check us out at phonedog.com in the forums. You can ask a question in the forums. I know sometimes we get comments on YouTube about things that we might have left out from the video, but if there is anything that you have a question about, just send me a message on Twitter and I'll definitely answer it. So, the screen resolution, I forgot that. That was a question that somebody asked. The screen resolution is 240 by 320. So, pretty basic. Definitely not, definitely not the same clarity as the iPhone 4 or the Samsung Galaxy S, but it does get the job done, and I think it looks great enough. And so, but yeah, if you have any other questions, just let me know, and we'll definitely answer them. So, thanks guys for watching. And I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm Cindy from phonedog.com. I'll see you guys later.